The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Oh, there we are.
Hello, welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
I'm CJ.
And I'm Carlos.
And boys,
And it's Friday. And wow, do we have we need like a 4-hour show today.
I'm telling you, it's unbelievable.
It just never ends.
Now, I think one of the first things I want to address is the fact that last week you and I had a conversation about a phone call between Corporate Counsel Joe Macy and the HR director in regards to the hiring of an assistant corporate counsel. And I believe that, if I'm incorrect, please correct me, Chip, that the assistant corporate counsel position was not funded for in the budget in fiscal year 2016, correct?
I think it was funded. It was funded, but
Okay.
it wasn't filled.
Okay.
And the discussion was about hiring another counsel. Whether I didn't get the whole conversation, but it was an inquiry about he wanted to hire another lawyer, just what we need in Fall River.
Right.
And apparently that has come to fruition. So.
Right, and it's interesting the attorney that was hired, because that's Sarah St. Pierre, who is of relation to, I believe, Tom St. Pierre, who's the city developer who purchased the Belial School, if I'm correct, and also was a major supporter of the administration. So, one starts to question, is this a quid pro quo situation? I mean, we know this. And when you have the mayor then turning around saying, I'm going to pay my chief of staff more money and give him a winter storm stipend. Do we have any other city people? Did you get paid a winter storm stipend, Chip, when you were a fire chief?
No, but I mean, this brings us to what some of the real issues we're facing now with our new mayor. It's pretty obvious that, he has a right to his own perspective, but his perspective, I don't believe, is in line with what the people of Fall River wanted. We wanted to have a restructuring of government to make a smaller government, to have, fewer administrative people, and take that money and use it to relieve the burden on the taxpayer and to enhance essential services like public safety. But all we see is people being hired, and I think that attorney may be part-time because the salary is fairly low, and it's just going to supplement the income of that attorney, probably. But, I'm going to quote from the Herald News article. It's entitled, Mayor Correa Defends Increased Salary for Chief of Staff, which has now elevated itself to around an $80,000 a year.
Plus stipend.
Plus stipends and around $80,000. And some of the statements he made, the city council, the biggest one, I'll go right to the biggest one. We are doing aggregate savings across the board, unquote, Correa said. Well, that's kind of code for I'm going to give all my friends gigantic jobs and pay raises, but I'm going to cut other people and take money away from the people who do the real work, and then I'm going to say at the end of the year, well, I saved money. But what have you saved? He talks about eliminating 4 middle management positions and creating one job, so that's a net savings of 3 jobs. But if you take all the money you save and give it to one person, or virtually 90% of what you saved, is that what we as citizens really want? So instead of having 4 chiefs, you've got one giant chief getting all kinds of money. And look, I don't even, you know, the chief of staff position, we all know how that evolved in the city of Fall River. And, you know, that job started out as the mayor's secretary. And they were making about $40,000. And then, because politicians always figure out a way to give their friends and their associates giant pay raises, it's now getting to the point where the mayor's chief of staff is getting around, well, over $80,000. If you factor the benefits in, it's over $100,000 a year job. For doing what? What a former secretary used to do? What chief of staff? What staff is he the chief of? What staff is he the chief of? Every department has a department head making close to $100,000 or around $100,000 or over $100,000. Who's being paid to run that department? The city administrator is in charge of administering the city. So who is the chief of staff really in charge of, technically? He's getting almost $100,000 to keep the mayor's calendar and walk around and keep him company if he's got nobody to talk to. You know, and the other statement is about the salary. It's the law. The council set, and I can go above that if I want, unquote. Well, again, this is what we talked about a couple shows ago about putting these jobs in ordinance. You notice that the number of firefighters isn't in ordinance. The number of police officers isn't in ordinance. And it doesn't have a salary set. And I don't believe, we've got to research that. We are researching this as we speak. I'm not sure if the salary is set in ordinance. Normally, the ordinance establishes the position, not the salary, because the salary is negotiable. And that's exactly what it should be. And I believe when he was running for mayor, our mayor said that, you know, he took a 25% pay cut, supposedly. But it's not going to be used to buy a police cruiser now. It's going to go into free cash. But, you know, we've got a tale of two cities again. We're doing aggregate savings, which is code word for I'm going to give all my friends a pay raise and cut positions that are occupied by people I don't care about, and reduce services and cut and not give any pay raises out. And at the last retirement board meeting, they were balking. The city was balking at the cost of living increase that the retirees get, which is a grand total maximum. If they get the maximum increase, it's $360 a year, less than $1 a day. And they're going to increase their health care costs. I can't wait for the March meeting, by the way, because when I tell these people that their health care is going up again, even though we're running under budget, and that the city is balking at giving them, you know, 73 cents a day, which will just about be about 75% of that will be absorbed by the increase of their health care. But this is a thing about priorities. You know, he is doing what he thinks, you know, is, you know, I mean, he's making these things like aggregate savings. That's not a reorganization. You don't, aggregate is a total. And an aggregate is used when you can't really get a finite number. So you get an aggregate number because you can't, but we can. We can take every department, look for redundancies in jobs, look for positions over supervision, and we can reduce costs, and we can streamline every single department, and then come back with a savings that we can then apply where we want it. It seems that he's using these euphemisms to figure out ways to give everybody that is his friend a pay raise. And, you know, I've always gone on record as saying, you know, number one, the mayor shouldn't have a chief of staff. And if he does have one, he should not be getting paid over $80,000 plus benefits, because the job is just not there's not enough responsibility there. I'm sorry. He's got way too much help. He's got a city administrator doing the numbers. He's got all kinds of people here, and all they know how to do is spend money. And he can attempt to defend it, but I'll tell you one thing. I'm not in favor of aggregate. I want an in-depth, like I want a forensic audit of every penny in the city. I want an in-depth study of every single department in the city of Fall River, and I want every job that's not necessary eliminated, and I want the other, and that's the city that we need to have. A city that's lean and mean, and its taxpayers' money is being spent on essential services like protection, because again, we're going to see him ask for wage concessions and stuff from unions or for freezes, and while he's giving his friends a raise.
Well, Chip, I just quickly, as you noticed, I was quickly checking the city ordinances and the charter, and I can't find anywhere a salary listed for any of the positions, because as far as I know, those positions are negotiated by contract, and you can't put the pay in the ordinance. I don't even think police department positions are put in, or fire department positions are put in ordinance.
Well, I know that the fire
salaries.
chief's position is an ordinance position, as is the administrative assistant to the chief. But the fire chief's position is not the salary is not an ordinance.
Right, because then
Because he has to when the firefighters negotiate a collective bargaining agreement, the fire chief normally renegotiates his contract.
right.
So those things are all subject to negotiations and increases or decreases, et cetera, and shifts in benefits, and everything has to go to the table. But as we said on the last show, politicians always figure out a way not to have to play by the rules we do. We have to go to the bargaining table and listen to the city say, we don't have any money. You can't get paid as much because you work in Fall River, and everybody makes less in Fall River. But when it comes to themselves, they give themselves automatic cost of living raises, or they say things like, the law the council set and I can go above it. I'm not sure that it's in ordinance, and I believe after we leave the year, we should call the city clerk and have her give it the ordinance that he's referring to, and I want to see if there's a salary attached, because I doubt it seriously.
And it just gets to be, this is amazing, because he is going out there and he is truly holding himself out to be above the people, above the city council, and above the law. And I think that infuriates me more. And then you have his sheep that follow him, and he's only trying to, if I hear move the city forward one more time, I'm going to vomit on somebody. People forget the Separation of Powers Act, okay? That is a federal act. And I'm going to give you a quote that comes into regards to what the Separation of Powers Act is about. The doctrine of the separation of powers was adopted by the Convention of 1787, not to promote efficiency, but to preclude the exercise of arbitrary power. The purpose was not to avoid friction, but by means of the inevitable friction incidents to the distribution of the governmental powers among the three departments to save the people from autocracy. And this is what this guy is doing. And, when he went downstairs to the city council and forced himself in, thinking he had the absolute right to do that, he was a city councilor. He knows. You get invited. And then everyone says, his finance team goes down there. No, his finance team is invited. They are commanded to show up to give the explanation of the proposed ordinances or proposed transfers that the mayor is proposing. They speak for the administration, but the administration itself cannot come down. It is a ploy. It is an attempt to influence the legislative branch. That is why in U.S. government, that's why in state government, and that's why in local government, the executive branch is invited.
Well, let me first say we should take a little excerpt of that quote and put it in about 10-foot letters and and have it attached to the door of the city council chamber. The inevitable friction, because our forefathers understood in order to have good government, we have to have disagreement. We have to have differing opinions. And that's how we move forward. We have a thesis, an antithesis, and then a synthesis. Ideas, differences of opinion sometimes come up with a completely different idea, which is better. But we can't all march in lockstep. And, and while we're on it, you're right. The mayor doesn't understand the protocol. He's just a regular citizen, in fact, when he walks in that council chamber. If he's there in his capacity as the mayor and the executive branch, he has to be either on the agenda and he has to be invited into the council. And he doesn't understand it. But to get to the council, when I was walking the dog this morning, I was talking to one of our regular viewers, and who is very, very knowledgeable. He watches meetings, which is good. We like our people to be well informed. And he was talking about Councilor Mitchell jumping all over the mayor, and about you didn't want our input. Well, guess what, Ray? You and Linda were mute when Sutter was the mayor. You found your voices again, because obviously you don't like this mayor because he got rid of your boy. But your input is irrelevant. He's the mayor. He proposes, you dispose. He called you in and said, this is what I'm going to do. Obviously, he was exercising his right as the mayor. Whether you agree with what he does or not, that's what he got elected to do. He got elected to run the city the way he chooses, with his vision. He proposes, you don't agree, you dispose. We don't run this government by committee. You guys always complain that you don't have any power, and then again, you're complaining again. You want to be deputy mayor. You're a city councilor. And guess what? Your input, as far as I'm concerned, doesn't mean squat. And the other 8 people that are there doesn't mean squat. Because if Jazel Correa is concerned and he decides to take input, it should be from the citizens of Fall River, who you're supposed to represent. Because you are not the deputy mayor, you're a city councilor. So when he called you in there and he told you what he was going to do, you had every right as a taxpayer, as a citizen, as a representative of the people to say, I do not agree with this, and then voice your opinion. Now, if all the council voiced their opinion and then and the mayor then said, well, you know something, this may not go through, I may to reconsider and come up with an alternative idea, that's when you have the give and take of government. But input? I'm sick and tired of you and our state reps talking about everybody being on the same page and everybody, we all got to sing Kumbaya and hold hands. No, that's not the way government works. He got elected to run the city. And you know something? If he does something I don't like, I'll be the first one to say it. But I also understand that he's the mayor. If we disagree, we vote it down, and you as a council do. But for God's sakes, will you people please understand your job? This government's been around since the 1700s. You still haven't figured out there's 3 separate branches? I mean, you all need a civics book.
We don't teach civics anymore.
Well, when Ray went to school, they taught civics.
Yeah, but we don't teach civics anymore in the school system. It's no longer a required course, and that's the problem.
Just step in here just for a minute because
No,
we're
waiting for you.
No,
from
go
you
ahead.
guys. But when I decided to start coming to your show was pretty much to be supporting the other side. What I don't agree with you guys. And in Portugal, Portuguese people use the term, if you don't open your mouth, it's because you agreed. Okay?
Yeah.
So my reason lately for not really going against you, it's because I'm with you, and I don't have arguments to present to defend my side. Everybody knows that I was a supporter of the mayor. I still am supporter of the mayor. But I feel that he's not giving me arguments for me to defend him. You know, and that's why, you know, I don't have much to say. Lately I'm being agreed with what you have to say. That's why I don't open my mouth. So if I don't open my mouth, it's because I'm agreeing with you. And
Now
so
that
really puts me on the hot seat.
Boy, that's scary, huh? You're agreeing with us. Holy moly, that's bad.
And I think if we keep going this way, I can just call in the show and give my opinion, because usually we've been all on the same step. But what I'm being seen and being a supporter of the mayor is that, Mr. Mayor, we were there before. We were exactly there before a year ago, okay? And let's change this around. We're very happy to put you there. We support you. I want to keep you supporting you. And last Tuesday, he sat right in front of me. When he entered the chamber, and he can say if I'm lying, I put my hand on his shoulder and I told him, thank you for coming. Because I never saw before a mayor coming into the chamber when it was been talking about appropriating money as a request. I like that on him, that he came down and he wanted to be there in person. Now, the mistake that he did was to not ask the president to approach the city councils. But again, to me, it was a mistake. Maybe experience. I can put that on the experience side, and I can give him a clean slate for that. Okay, was the only part that probably he did wrong was not raising the hand to the president and asking the president to waive the rules so he could approach. He just got up and he went for it. But the fact that he's there, I think he should be there. When he walks out of the sixth floor, he could be just a citizen. And as a citizen, I think he should approach the meeting. He should be there. Just like I think that protocols, we need to change some protocols. I don't agree with a lot of protocols. Just like when inauguration day, I look around and I don't see any mayor there. And I made the question, former mayors there. I asked the question, and somebody told me, oh, it's not, it's protocol. They should not be here. Why they should not be here when the president of the country gets inaugurated? The former presidents are there to support him. Okay, we vote him into office. So I would like to change that. Here is a protocol that I would like to change and see on the inauguration of a new mayor.
Yeah, Carlos, that protocol goes back to the founding of this country. No president, no governor, no mayor has ever had his predecessors present at their inauguration. Never. The protocol is when they drop dead, they all show up. But when they're inaugurated, they don't.
Yeah, well, I mean, but it's something that I think as a citizen, as a voter, I think would be nice for me to be there. It would be like a way to, I served my country, I served my city, and I'm here to support the mayor that's going to take over.
Well, yeah, well,
that's my opinion.
Well, that's good. See, so now we can disagree, because I disagree with that.
Yeah,
okay.
That's platitudes.
But let's get back to this, as I said, I mean, I wanted to see Sam Sutter removed as mayor. He was doing the wrong thing as the mayor. And as I said, sometimes you change your opinion. I believe that, the mayor has not really demonstrated a grasp of what the vision that we thought that he was going to do with some of his promises, and he's making it clear. But you know, this is not only this is another issue. Even with the city council, as I said, they don't seem to know, you know, what their role is. And the president of the city council was on the radio last week saying that we're fine because we got $2 million in the health care fund that they're going to use to help pay bills, and they can't do that. And he said there was a trust fund, which there isn't. It's not kept in trust as it is for the employees. And you can't dip your hand into that money. Because I made a call to City Hall and told them very clearly, if you touch that health care money before the end of the fiscal year and you use money that was budgeted for health care, and if there's a surplus, if we have a bad month, we may have to dip into that surplus. That's why we run it on an contract year basis. If you do, they're going to take you all out of City Hall in handcuffs, because I'm going to file suit against the city and file criminal charges, because that money is there for health care. And we know, but see, this again is what they do.
But we have a history of doing that.
Yeah, but this is money, exactly. But this is money that was gouged from the employees by increasing their cost of health care 1,500%. And rather than take that money and use it to keep health care costs manageable, they take it away and pay all the other bills they've created to give pay raises. And this is the problem with our government. Like I said, all they ever do is spend. Every single nickel that they have free, they'll figure out a way to give it to one of their friends or create another job to absorb the money. The last place they put this money is in police, fire, or anything like that. So when the new president of the city council goes on the radio and publicly says that they're going to use health care money for other things, it sends a chilling message to all the people in Fall River, and it reaffirms the fact that all they ever do is spend. That's why you'll never see your tax rate not go up. That's why you'll never see them looking for another way to gouge money. That's why you'll see more parking tickets, more speeding tickets, more snow removal tickets, and more every kind of ticket they can give you to raise more revenue. Because that's the only way they know how to raise revenue. It's to pick the people's pockets. They can't ever save money by streamlining and cutting costs like private industry does. What happens in private industry when they're going belly up? First thing they do is what? Restructure. Restructure. Cut fat. What does the city government and the federal government and the state government do? Raise taxes and get bigger.
You know, Chip, it's amazing because I was at a seminar this week, and you know, we were talking the same thing about how when you have failing government, you have them expanding. Instead of condensing, they expand the government. Now, Jason Correa ran on the platform that he was going to reorganize government. Yeah, well, let's give him the correct credit. He is reorganizing government. He's making it bigger, and he's getting rid of the people that do the work to pay for this bigger government right now, because next year's budget hasn't come out yet. And we know that those people are going to be in that budget with huge salaries. So, Mr. Mayor, you're not saving us any money. You're ripping us off.
Yeah, but
so everything you've said is a lie.
CJ, by saying, look, aggregate.
Yeah, I know.
The aggregate number of employees has gone down. But the problem is, look at where you spent the money. You spent the money by creating jobs for your friends, giving pay raises to your jobs. Where does any of that savings gone? Has it gone to put 5 new firefighters on a job, or 5 new police officers, or no. So your aggregate is a code word for show me the money.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, have a great weekend, everybody, and remember, stay angry.
Oh yes, very angry.
See you Friday.